What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at a series review. This is going to be a new sort of format that I'm going to be using because I haven't been doing the best sort of film reviews, TV show reviews, and anime reviews. So I'm going to be going into a lot more detail with the show and the series that I'm reviewing, and I'm going to be there's going to be spoilers, so do take note of that. And it's going to be a lot longer than 2 minutes because there's a lot to talk about with this series, and let's get into it. So what I'm going to be taking a look at is Dragons Rising here. So I'm going to be taking these new reviews one season at a time, or part one to this season as it stands. So this is the new Ninjago. They are marketing it under Dragons Rising. It is all about two teenagers from different worlds use their ninja powers to defend the dragons from villains who want to harness the dragon's life forces. So that's a pretty simple overview, and it is really good. The first 2 episodes are out now. It's on Netflix. I'm waiting for the next 10 episodes to come out, and they have done teasers for that. But looking at the season as a whole, I like the 2 new ninjas. I think it's really cool. I like their powers, and I like their dynamic. They're a lot they bring a new sort of spice to the team that we haven't seen in a while, because obviously we've known these past six or seven ninja for the past 13 seasons. So it's nice to have some 2 new faces join the team. And the villains of this season are definitely not as good as past villains, but the heroes definitely make up for how lacking the villains are. Aaron is really cool. He learned spinjitzu on his own. He was from Ninjago, and he's very hopeful, happy, excitable. Basically how the ninja were when we first met them. They were happy and excited. And he's just happy to be a ninja. We also have Sora, which I'm not a big fan of. I wish they sort of went into more depth with her sort of jealousy, because she doesn't feel good enough to be trained by Lloyd. She doesn't feel good enough to be a ninja. So I wish they sort of dove more into her jealousy and her sort of anger to do with how, her frustration with not being able to fulfill her powers. Because I feel like they rushed it into the season and sort of went over it really quickly. The pacing of this season is all right. It's not too quick and it's not too slow, but I think they rushed through Sora's part a little bit and sort of wanted to get to her trauma faster than let her deal with her jealousy and, anger with not being able to use her powers without Ryu. The merge was an interesting concept, which I wish they explored a little more. They did do quite a bit of exploring. They sort of introduced new areas with the sort of town center which they were at, these new faces. They also introduced the sort of rock place where they found Nia. They introduced the old Ninjago area and the sort of new tech city that's in the distance, Imperium as it's called. And I thought I wish they did a little bit more exploring, because there is supposed to be 16 realms that have all merged together, and we've seen 3 or 4 of them. They did a really good job at the start going through the realms and sort of setting it up and seeing how well they all merge and sort of fit together. But they did do a really brief time skip, because they did introduce the merge when Aaron was a little kid. Now he's a teenager, so the time skip sort of skipped over how everyone dealt with the change and how everyone sort of, made do with the new sort of way things are and all the new people meeting each other and the dangers that come with the merge. And we don't get introduced to Lloyd until the end of the first episode, which I really enjoyed that. They're taking their time to focus on these new characters and really sort of trying to get people to like them and familiarize people with them before they bring the ninja back. With all these new characters, they did find a new way to balance it out. They did bring in the ninjas gradually, and I liked that. We saw a little bit of Zane before part 1 ended, and we saw Kai and Nia as well. They also brought a little bit of Wu, hinting towards Wu being a Force ghost. And it is understandable why we haven't seen marketing for Cole, Zane, and Jay. because obviously they're not in the first part of the season. They are still lost, and Zane's only in it for a little bit at the end. So it's understandable why they weren't here. But given that Jay and Cole are my two favorites, and I'm pretty sure many people's favorites, well, my favorite is actually Kai, but Jay and Cole are like good second favorites. They're like the originals. They're my favorites. Given that they weren't here, it did make watching it a little harder for me because they're the ones who I watch it for. But the new characters do sort of make up for that missing sort of people that you enjoy, because it gives you someone new to learn, grow, and sort of familiarize yourself with. And the animation is also a lot better than how it originally was in the original show. Like here, when Ninjago first started, you can see how it looked, and they really upgraded it and gave these Lego minifigures some sort of 3D elements to them. Like, they're not just flat torsos with printing on them. They have sort of 3D elements which come off their sort of torso. One of them has glasses that comes off their head, and it's not just like a print on their torso. It's like actually interact with stuff on their torso, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a really good series. They really hit it off and brought it back. It's doing a lot better. There is this running joke in the series that Soren learned ninjutsu by himself, and all the other ninjas are like surprised he did that and say that he can't do that, but he obviously did, which they're definitely going to pull again and again when we meet Cole and Jay. But it did get repetitive with having to explain it to Nia, Kai, and then Zane as well as Lloyd. That's already 4 times and repeating the same thing of how special Aaron is. I wish they just toned down a little bit on that. But for the most part, it's a really good series. The villains are good. I think the main villain is good, but the henchmen, they're really goofy, and they make a mockery out of them more often than not. They're not very menacing or threatening. Raz, the tiger guy, is the most threatening villain. He is sort of mysterious to start with, which doesn't last long. I think they've rushed into introducing him. But he starts off mysterious, and then he's an absolute menace to society. He is so strong, and he just has this badass moments just make him so cool. He fights with a hammer, and he is working for the Empress of Imperium, who doesn't really get introduced. Is sort of like the Thanos style, sort of chilling back on a chair until the last episode, which is the cliffhanger, where she gets up and gets in her own mech and is ready to fight for herself and do her own work. The scientists are trying to hunt down Sora to create her sort of light mechanic machine, her physical light machine. They didn't really explain the science behind that because it's not real science. But she is the girl wonder. She's great with technology, and I'm glad they went back a little bit into her backstory. We don't get much about Aaron's backstory. We just know that he loved the ninja, that he was dancing. Not dancing, he was learning spinjitzu when the merge happened. And I'm glad they went more in depth with Sora because she was sort of a wild card. They also doubled down on the dragon thing. Ninjago has always had dragons and elemental dragons and power linked to dragons. We've had Zane in Season 4 linked to the ice dragon that's in the cave that's in his mind. And they can create or summon their own elemental dragons. So if I was going to say anything, Ryu is one of the dragons that can harness and power up elemental powers. He doesn't have one specific element himself. But that is really cool. And it's very unique, something that we haven't seen. We've seen dragons power up the ninja before, the ninja turn into dragons, but we've never actually had a dragon power a ninja before. But this is really cool. A lot of new concept, a lot of new ideas. Animation's great, story's great, and I'm going to wrap this up real quick right now. It's a good series. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm shocked with how good it was. I thought they ended it pretty well last time. A lot of people didn't like how they ended it, but I enjoyed how they ended it. I thought it was a good sort of choice, a good way to end it off. But I'm glad they brought it back. It is one of my favorite shows and one of the few shows I do keep up to date with. And the characters are great. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Let me know if you do like this type of video. If you want more, do let me know. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed. See you all next one. Have a nice day, and goodbye. Stay home and stay safe.